For fescue lawns, aeration and overseeding in the fall is kind of the make it or break it service to determine not only how good your lawn is going to be looking by the end of the year, but also how thick and healthy it's going to be the year following. Especially in spring when everybody wants their lawn to look amazing coming out of its winter dormancy, you have to invest in a good aeration and seeding service to make sure that that's going to be the case. But finding the right service provider to perform that aeration and seeding service can be pretty tricky. There's a lot of decision-making factors that go into it besides just what the cost is or who is available. I'm going to give you in this video 10 questions that you should be asking anybody that you meet with or speak to get a price on aeration and seeding. For pretty much every area, but especially in RVA where we're located, fall aeration and seeding is something that brings a lot of players to the table. While there might be 5 or 6 well-reputed fertilizer companies in your area, at aeration seed time there are dozens of options. And that's because you don't have to have the same licensing to do aeration seeding as you do to do fertilizer and weed control. As a result, it's not just fertilizer companies vying for your business, it's also mowing companies and landscapers and even retired firemen and irrigation companies. Brings a lot of players to the table, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it means that you have to be on top of what to find out from them to make sure you're getting the best value and the best quality service. So like I said, I'm going to lay out for you guys 10 questions that it's a great idea to ask anyone that you get a price on aeration and seeding from. In addition to that, go ahead right now and be sure to subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date on all of the aeration seeding videos that we're going to be doing. And comment below if there are any questions that you've asked and have found as an important factor that aren't listed in this video. So let's start with question number 1. What kind of aeration are you offering? So there are 2 potentially correct answers to this question, but I like to hear both from a company because that really shows that they are ahead of the game and staying on top of modern trends and new evidence of what is most effective. The first and most typical answer is going to be core aeration. The second, less common, but just as important and just as great of an option is liquid aeration. Core aeration is a tried and true method, while liquid aeration is more new to the market, but has a lot of evidence of being potentially more effective for a well-established lawn. A company that's offering both is head and shoulders above its competition because it sees what's most effective and it's making it available to your community. That being said, if you're looking for core aeration, bonus points to the company that is providing a double or triple pass to maximize on the number of cores being provided. There are 2 red flags that I want you to be most aware of if you ask this question. The first one is anybody saying that they provide spike aeration. Spike aeration does nothing. If anything, it may even contribute to compaction, which is the whole point of core aeration, to remove that compaction. The second red flag is if anybody says to you it's all the same and tries to shrug it off. It's not all the same, so you shouldn't be misled to think so. Every lawn is unique in terms of what it needs and what's going to be most effective for it, and as a consumer, you have the right to know exactly what's being done to your lawn. And that sort of leads us to question number 2, which is what kind of equipment are you using for aeration and seeding? For aeration, you want to listen for riding or walk behind core aerators. Or for liquid aeration and definitely for seeding, you want to listen for a riding spreader sprayer or even a push spreader. A company that is well established and experienced in providing aeration and seeding services will have access to the specialized equipment that is necessary for a high quality service. For typical yards, riding equipment is going to be slightly more effective because it's calibrated and is really doing a good job, but for small areas or for smaller companies, walk-behind equipment can be effective too, so long as it's being used properly. To me, the red flag for this question is any kind of large attachment that you pull behind a mower or a tractor that's being used. Now, this is mainly the case for standard-sized residential properties. If you have several acres, then that can be justified because it's going to be time-consuming and you want that really wide barrel. But most suburban properties are too small to justify this kind of equipment, and I've seen in multiple circumstances that it leads to a lot of damage being done to the yard, not just in terms of the existing turf, but the grading as well. Number 3 is one of the most important questions on this list, and that question is what is the quality of the seed that you're using? The right answer to this question is and always will be the highest quality available. It also needs to be backed up with an explanation of how this quality is being measured, but the point here is that you do not settle for low or average quality seed. Phrases like blue tag certified, guaranteed germination, multi-blended, and 0% weed seed all indicate that the seed is of a high quality. Any weed contamination, even if it says on the bag 0.01%, is substantial, and in actuality, based on the millions of seeds that are in a bag of seed, is going to be thousands of weeds going into your yard. A company using clean, high-quality fescue seed may be a bit more expensive, but it is well worth the investment. I hear red flags to this question all the time, but the most common ones are whatever we get from Lowe's, Home Depot, or some other big box home improvement store, or this specific name brand. With the first red flag, it can be hard to find high quality seed at some of these stores, especially when it's kind of a free-for-all and everybody's trying to get first dibs. And this isn't actually giving you any information about quality, it's just giving you information about a source. And with answers about a specific name brand, and I'm not pointing any fingers at Kentucky 31, I'm just trying to make the point that just because a brand name is recognizable does not mean that it's high quality. In fact, most of these name brands that people say and trust with such confidence aren't clean. They've got weed seed in them, so it's not high quality. It's not what you want to be investing in. If you get a specific name brand, either research it or ask to see a tag label that's going to show you exactly what quality it is, not just who produced it. And speaking of whose, let's play owl. Who will be performing my service? Is it going to be subcontracted out? A good answer to this is going to be a trained member of our team. You at least want to hear something along those lines. Aeration and seeding is an involved and costly process. You want to know that the person who is performing the service and is on your property is A, trained and knows what they're doing, and B, is accountable to the company that you have hired. The red flag here, it depends, or something else kind of evasive. Obviously, a representative of a well-established company probably isn't going to be able to tell you the name of the person who's going to be doing the service. But it's also common for large companies to subcontract their aeration and seeding work because they get so busy with it. A lot of the time, the quality of work being done in subcontracting situations is of no noticeable difference. But it can mean greater disconnects in terms of quality assurance, scheduling, and accountability. It shouldn't be a deal breaker, but it should be a consideration. Remember how question 3 about seed quality was one of the most important? Well, question 5 is as well, and that is, what is your company's experience in turf management? You want to hear something in the ballpark of, we have trained agronomists or licensed applicators on staff, and we have a successful fertilization program. Not all property services, not all yard work is the same. Turf management is a specialized field that focuses on things like fertilizer and weed control, and are driven by an understanding of soil science and plant health. Aeration and seeding is a really important service that fits under that umbrella of turf management, and as a result, you want somebody who has knowledge, experience, and a good reputation within that part of the industry. Not only is somebody with turf management experience going to have a better understanding of how to establish a healthy lawn, which is the whole point of aeration and seeding, but they're also going to be a great long-term resource for the success of your lawn. The red flag here is if they lead something with, we don't do fertilizer, but... Let me start by saying that lawn care companies that focus on mowing or property maintenance like pruning and mulch are undervalued, and it's a branch of the industry that requires a lot more professionalism than people acknowledge. But without experience and licensing in fertilizer and the turf management industry with things that involve biology and geology and chemistry, providers that are offering aeration seeding as something on the side or as a weekend job are a lot less likely to be able to provide you with resources and a knowledge base that will help you maximize on your aeration and seeding service. So on to number 6. What's the time frame that you'll provide my aeration and seeding service in? This is one of those right answers that I don't hear nearly enough, but it's total common sense, and that is, we follow the weather patterns, not the calendar. I know this might surprise you, but grass seed can't look at a calendar. It doesn't care what month it is. It just needs a habitable growing environment with the right air and soil temperatures and the right amount of moisture. The company that follows the calendar and will tell you that knows their stuff. Go with that person, they've got it covered. The ideal window for seeding in the fall can swing wildly. We've had years where it was record-breaking heats in September and had to push everything back by 3 or 4 weeks. So it really depends, and you want a company that has that flexibility. The wider the window that you're given, if you do receive approximate dates, the more of a red flag it probably is. Some big companies may even tell you from August all the way to the end of the year. If you hear that your aeration and seeding could be done as early as the middle of summer or as late as Christmas, that's kind of a red flag. Dormant seeding can still be successful, and seed can lie on the ground for months and then come up when the temperatures are finally suitable. But that's more risky, and if you're making an investment, you want to reduce the risk as much as possible. And speaking of scheduling, number 7, will you notify me before my service? Obviously, the right answer is of course. Especially with core aeration, aeration and seeding is a service that usually requires some degree of preparation on the property by the homeowner. As a result, the more notice that a company can give you of when your service is going to be scheduled, the better. The red flag is a company that says no, or even says, we can try. This might be a sign that the company is inexperienced or just not well established enough to be able to schedule services in advance. Because the window for aeration and seeding is several months wide, it's really important to be able to have some degree of notice so that you can flag sprinkler heads, get the ground softer with stricter watering, or even get topsoil installed. It's a very valuable thing, and you want a company that not only understands that, but also respects it. Question number 8 is also a really important one, and that is, how should I care for my seed after it's been applied? The right answer will be that the company can tell you exactly what to do. An experienced provider, especially one with a background in turf management, is going to by default give you resources on the proper aftercare for your seed. Whether it's recommended watering schedules or how long to wait before mowing, this is a super important part to make sure that your seeding is successful. So a good company is going to want to set you up for that success. The red flag here is if someone says anything like it doesn't matter or do what you normally would do. It definitely matters. It matters so much. Watering schedules for mature lawns in the summer are very different from those that are needed by seedlings trying to develop in the fall. And a lot of companies inexperienced in turf management don't even know that you should wait for at least a few weeks before you mow the lawn after seeding. Please, don't pay someone to set you up for failure. We're in the home stretch, only a couple questions left. Number 9 is going to be, do you provide any starter fertilizer or lime with aeration and seeding? The right answer is going to be definitely. Starter fertilizer and lime are the 2 kinds of treatments that are most associated with fall aeration seeding. Starter fertilizer, whether it's coating the seed or it's applied separately, helps kickstart the soil with nutrients that baby grass is going to need to feed on to germinate at the best success. Meanwhile, lime applications are usually done at the same time as aerating because those cores help get the lime a little bit deeper into the soil and makes it break down a little bit faster and more evenly. A strong turf management company has these resources available through their fertilizer program and is more than eager to help you with any short-term or long-term fertilization goals. And go figure, the red flag here is we don't do those treatments. That's not a bad thing if a person or a company doesn't have these resources available. I would so much rather have a company say, no, I'm sorry, we don't do that, than to be unlicensed and untrained and try to offer it just to be able to get more business. However, not only is this another way that you can kind of test a company's experience and licensing in turf management, but it's also a measure of how much they're going to be able to help you with the bigger picture for your lawn. And finally, here's the question that I think you should ask anybody giving you pricing in any industry, but is especially important for asking an aeration and seeding provider. And that is, why should I go with your company for this service? My answer to this question, as somebody who is a representative for a well-reputed turf management company, is that we perform high-quality work, we understand lawn and soil health, and we provide resources for short-term and long-term success. Aeration and seeding is an investment, and choosing a provider to perform it for you is a decision that should be made with knowledge and confidence. as such, you have to keep in mind that you get what you pay for. Not all companies and not all services are the same. Invest in the company or the individual who clearly has their stuff together and has a strong reputation in your area. Red flag, you'll save money. Let's say it again, you get what you pay for. While you should always seek the best value, value is determined by quality, not just cost. The price of aeration seeding is directly related to the quality of seed being used, the amount of time spent on your property performing the service properly, and the professionalism of the equipment and the provider. The lower the cost, the more these variables are compromised, and the less likely you are to be happy with your service. If you ask these 10 questions to anyone giving you a price on aeration and overseeding, I can guarantee you that you will be making a much more informed decision on the care of your lawn than you will be on anything else. And most of these questions can kind of cross-apply to any turf management or lawn care services. Plan ahead. Even as early as July, just go ahead and start exploring companies and getting quotes on aeration and seeding. You want to have plenty of time to be able to make a decision that you're confident in. I appreciate you guys watching. Again, be sure to subscribe and comment below if there's any questions that you've asked or think someone should ask that I haven't mentioned here. I appreciate your feedback. I really appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for the next month and a half. We're doing videos on pretty much nothing but aeration and seeding. It's a big deal for your lawn. We'll talk to you guys again soon, and have a picture perfect day.